Tashdile, this is Sakina Bhatt and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly feature in English about this week's news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines first. I assure you I would live for 100 years, His Holiness the Dalai Lama during the long life Tenshuk ceremony. Tibetans in Dharamshala celebrate the Tibetan Democracy Day. Tibetans in Diaspora, a success story. Photo exhibition hosted in the European Parliament. UN expert group observes China's discriminatory practices in Tibet. In a historic first, Tibetan national flag raised at Waltham Forest Town Hall in London. Representing Tibet's three traditional provinces, Tibetans from Utsang Cholka, Dome Cholka, Chushigandru, based in Dharamshala, and likewise Tibetans from Kalimpong, Gangtok, Darjeeling and Rawangla offered long life prayers to His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Dharamshala on Monday this week. Speaking of the ancient Nalanda Buddhist teachings, His Holiness affirmed that the ancestors of the Tibetan people had well preserved this knowledge for thousands of years, which enabled Tibetans to expertise in promoting the knowledge in the Tibetan language. His Holiness the Dalai Lama proclaimed that it is the duty of Tibetan people to continue the practical teachings of those ancestors with logic and reason rather than following it blindly, while at the same time taking pride in processing such vast and profound knowledge passed by them. His Holiness further urged the Tibetan people to preserve the rich Tibetan language as it has the potential to serve all the sentient beings on earth. His Holiness gave the gathering the assurance that he would live for 100 years to serve humanity and specially to lead the cause of Tibet under his guidance. The Tibetans in exile celebrated the festive occasion of its 58th Tibetan Democracy Day in Dharamshala on Sunday this week. Addressing the gathering, Dr. Singhe highlighted the inception and evolution of Tibetan democracy, the one envisioned by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and drew attention on the unique nature of Tibetan democracy and how it serves as a spokesperson for the Tibetan brothers and sisters struggling under China's illegal occupation.
When His Holiness was forced into exile, he did not leave his dream behind. One of the first pronouncements made by His Holiness after arriving in India was to ensure that a democratic system of governance would be born in exile.
But I would like to congratulate
the chief guest of the event, Lok Sabha MP Kunwar Bharatendra Singh, in his keynote address, applauded CTA for their effort in preserving Tibetan culture, identity and religion, while at the same time keeping up with the essence of a modern democracy. MP Kunwar said the middle way approach will prosper under the leadership of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Speaker Khenpo Thempel in his address talked about the importance of the democratic values of Tibetan democracy, which is unique in itself from any democracies in the world. Members of European Parliament Thomas Mann inaugurated the 5-day exhibition titled Tibetans in Diaspora, a Success Story at the prestigious venue in the European Parliament in Brussels on Wednesday last week. The exhibition is primarily a collection of over 30 photos of well-known Italian photographer Miss Albertino. It documents Tibetan lives throughout the world: Italy, India, Nepal, Taiwan, New York, UK, France, Switzerland, Belgium, Holland and Canada. The exhibition aimed to present the success story of Tibetans in the diaspora, showcasing the fact that the global support by the peoples and nations for Tibetans has generated such a positive community within the last 60 years of Tibetan exile. The United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination has published its concluding observations on the combined 14th to 17th periodic reports of China adopted at its 96th session. The committee expressed concern over subjugation of Tibetan peaceful political protesters and human rights defenders. The committee also noted its concerns about the racially discriminatory practices in employment, especially the discrimination faced by the Tibetans in job advertisements and recruitment processes. While taking specific note on the condition of Tibetans, the committee highlighted that Tibetans are subjected to various restrictions. While echoing the committee's disappointment at the delayed submission of the 14th to 17th periodic reports by China, the committee recommended China to submit its next reports, the combined 18th to 20th periodic reports, by 28 January 2023, which should address all the points raised in the present concluding observations. On Tuesday this week, more than 80 local Tibetans and Tibet supporters gathered in the foreground of Waltham Forest Town Hall of East London as the Tibetan national flag was raised for the first time in the history of this London borough. The flag-raising ceremony was held to mark the remarkable success of the democratic process adopted by the Tibetans for the past almost 6 decades, after His Holiness the Dalai Lama gifted it to them in the 1960s. The Tibetan national flag was raised slowly, accompanied by the singing of the national anthem, making it historic as well as an emotional moment, especially for all the Tibetans present. So much for this week. See you next time and have a great weekend.